So when you look at AFC, the AFC conference, it's clear that 2 teams have already qualified. Iran and South Korea. They are good to go.
Mathematically.
They are in. Yeah. They are already celebrating. These next few games are just going to be a victory laps for them.
Victory lap, man.
But then you look at Group B, and that's where we have an interesting mix of possibilities. It's down to 3 teams, basically. All 3 teams trying to avoid that third Intercontinental playoff spot.
Yeah.
Australia are in an interesting situation where their future, their World Cup future, is in their hands 100%. They face off against Saudi Arabia and Japan,
right?
The top 2 teams in the group, back to back. If they win out, they're in clear.
It can get interesting, and I thought about this looking at Australia's fixtures. Thing is, yes, it is in their hands in the sense that they literally face the teams ahead of them in the table. The problem is that these are teams that are better than them. So to get 2 straight wins against the 2 best teams in the group, I just don't think it's going to be feasibly possible. And then count on Saudi Arabia and Japan playing against already eliminated teams in the second game or in the, in the off game that they don't play Australia. You can basically consider them having an extra 3 points on top of Australia. So not only would Australia need to beat both Saudi Arabia and Japan, they would probably need to bank on Japan dropping points in their second game, which most likely will not happen.
Yeah.
So it's tough if you're Australia because if they were just a little closer, it's a 3-point gap right now between them and second place. Yeah. If they were just a little closer, I think they actually could do something. At the end of the day, I no matter what happens, I think Australia is going to remain in that third position. Okay. Talking about those 2 teams ahead of them, Saudi Arabia, I was big on them 4 years ago when they qualified for 2018. I mean, when you saw those games in Riyadh.
Some of the best atmospheres, man.
Incredible atmospheres, man. And accompanied by good football. I mean, they just like they dominated this year, they dominated last cycle too. So they've been playing really good football in the region for the past, we could say safely 7 years now. I think the difference now is they've been able to build on it year after year after year. Obviously, they had that calamitous opener against Russia in 2018, which just sucked. Hopefully, they can almost amend that. I think this is going to be redemption for Saudi Arabia in 2022. It's right next door in Qatar. I think this is going to be a really special tournament for them. I'm not saying they go far or they do anything crazy, but I think they'll do so much better than their appearance in 2018. That would already
be a big win for them, man.
Yeah. To just even fight for second place in that, whatever group they end up. Yeah. I think they can do it. They have the quality, and a large portion of these players remain the same. Mohamed Kano, center back, Buhaila, I think is his name, something like that. Al Dosadi, a lot of Al Hilal players, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good club, and they have some good players still with Saudi Arabia. And coached by Hervé Renard, who coached Morocco 4 years ago. That Fabio-looking dude. So he's made his way. He always brings success to whatever teams he goes to and coaches, at least on the international stage. So if you're Saudi, man, you're liking what you're seeing.
No, this is round 2 basically. They get a second shot at amending what was a distraughtful and just a blowout in Russia. But it is what it is. The team is much better this time around. They've only lost 1 game in this round.
Yeah.
And they've dominated the group. They're set to qualify if they just take care of business these next 2 match days.
Yeah.
Japan, on the other hand, is also very close to qualifying. Them coming off a interesting 2018 World Cup. Obviously, the game against Belgium was a historic one in terms of entertainment, man.
Oh, so entertaining.
What an incredible
one of the funnest
back
games
and forth match. But also a little underwhelming what they achieved compared to other tournaments before. So Japan is also motivated. They got plenty of reason here to want another try, especially down there in Qatar.
Yeah, and I think what's different about this Japanese team is finally they're not really relying on 1 or 2 stars. Kazuki Honda, as example. There's always been that one guy that they're really going for. Kagawa, ex-Dortmund player. But now, it really is a unified team. There's not one guy that stands out. Now, obviously, they're all play at a very high level, whether they play in the Bundesliga, play in the J-League itself. Yeah, exactly. Or just, honestly, a couple players just around Europe and Portugal, too. So, it's just a well-rounded squad where they, again, are not relying on one guy to just lead them to victory. So that's why I'm actually more impressed about this cycle's Japan than in years past. But it also kind of leads to their detriment, though, as you said, that accolade-wise, this Japan team isn't as dominant as they used to be. But I think it's also testament to just how better the region has gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the group themselves, Oman, Vietnam ended up crashing out, but they gave Japan hell. Japan had to really work for these wins. Whereas in the past, Japan were up 2-0 by halftime.
Yeah.
So this was different. But this is a team, they have a Japanese head coach, the same guy in 2018. So they've just been able to build that camaraderie. I don't think Japan's going to do anything crazy, but I mean, hey, kudos to them.
What's shaping up to be interesting too for this is that the winner of the Intercontinental playoff of AFC faces off against CONMEBOL's 5th place team.
Right.
And so right now we got United Arab Emirates set to face off against Australia. Australia's pretty much secured in that spot if they end up landing there. Whereas United Arab Emirates could be potentially pounced on by Lebanon or Iraq.
Here's what's crazy about Group A is that the biggest game and all of the qualifiers in Asia is on the first match day. In Baghdad, Iraq host the United Arab Emirates. They're only 4 points behind them. Iraq are going to have to do something that they have not done all qualifiers. Win a fucking game. They've tied 5 and lost 3. So they need to win a game. But what better way to do it when they know what has to be done? Like you said, the World Cup starts now for every single team still vying for a spot. Something special could happen in Iraq this coming next week. Something crazy could happen. They win that game, they're only a point behind the UAE. The UAE then have to face, I think they play Korea next. That's how the UAE finishes. The whole qualification is against a team that's already through. Iraq play the worst team in the group last. They play Syria.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, yeah.
If Iraq beat the UAE in Baghdad, then it's game on.
Oh, yeah. The UAE is nervous after that.
They're nervous. And they play the best team, or the second best team. I forget which ones they play, but they play one of them. The Lebanon, it's the same thing. Lebanon plays Syria first, but then after that, they play the top 2 teams.
Damn.
Iraq have the most favorable schedule. All they have to do, though, is beat the UAE first.
Damn,
and it's not going to be easy.
Man. I don't know. That's like the Colombia of Asia, man. Like where Colombia can't get a goal.
They can't get a goal,
These
man.
dudes can't get a victory, man.
What's even more distressing if you're Emirati is the UAE just fired their coach a month ago.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, chaos. It's chaos in that country right now.
That's crazy, man. Because
come on, man.
If you think about the UAE, they have a chance to be in a World Cup. I haven't seen UAE in the World Cup in my life.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And they're close. They're close.
They're actually
Get
close.
to the Intercontinental playoff, and who knows what could happen there. And that's what you're doing a month before, bro?
You're
just stirring up the locker room?
Stirring up the pot. Exactly, man.
Jesus Christ,
Their coach was Bert Van Marwijk, the ex-Netherlands coach.
Oh, wow.
2010, yeah.
Wow.
They had fired him previously, looked for another coach, couldn't find one, so rehired him.
They went back to their ex.
Like that. Gave him another chance.
Yeah.
It never works out.
Yeah,
it never works out.
No.
And so they're just like, yeah, we got to fire you. They hired this Argentine guy, Arwa Buena. He's been coaching in the Middle East for the last 5-6 years at club level. Knows the region, I guess. I don't like it either way. I don't like it. So if you're Iraq, that's just even more juice to fuel you to beat them. Yeah. That atmosphere in Iraq's going to be fucking rocking, man. I wish I was there. It's going to be insane.
Man.
And it just... And I love to romanticize, but imagine if they win that game. Imagine. You just start dreaming at that point.
Yeah.
You just start dreaming.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're still in it. That's crazy, man.
The UAE are completely on their own destiny, even if they lose against Iraq. Even if they lose, they can still go through as that third place team.
Yeah.
Ultimately, let's say they do, they play Australia. I think Australia's just better.
Yeah.
They just have the better players. They obviously have the history of just winning.
Yeah, they got a little bit more of that World Cup blood ingrained in them.
That's what
for
it is.
Sure.
Yeah. They've been there. They've done it before. Australia's been to the last 4 World Cups. I think
they've actually been weirdly consistent.
Yeah, they've
about
been crazy
it,
consistent. I'm not going to count them out if they play whoever they play.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're probably the favorites no matter who they end up playing. So ultimately, I got Australia.
Sure.
going to play a South American fifth place team.
Which right now could be either Uruguay, Peru, Colombia, or Chile, basically. So I got the South American team winning.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I think no matter who it is, I got the South American team going through. Although Australia, I mean, they're never slouches. You know, they're never gonna get outrun 3-4-0.
Yeah.
So it'll be close. And honestly, if you're South American, you're kind of pissed you have to play an Asian
That's
team.
what I was thinking too. I'm glad CONCACAF gets the OFC matchup, man.
Yeah.
And I am because these teams are a little. I think could scare you too.